Today, that sheriff spoke only to 10 on your side.
A grand jury handed down 2 indictments that remain sealed. They will not be opened until an actual arrest is made. 10 on your side's Andy Fox is here with what's going on. Andy?
Tom and Alvita, I spoke with Isle of Wight County Sheriff Charles Phelps. Phelps is accused of having 4-time convicted felon Jonathan Burns on staff acting like a sworn officer. Here's the problem. Burns can't be a sworn officer because in 1998 he pleaded guilty to arson and grand larceny, and it's against state law for felons to be sworn officers of the law. Sheriff Charles Phelps thinks he could be arrested when he gets back to town.
Do you think that when you get back to town you might be put under arrest?
Possibility.
Does that concern you?
Yes, it does. Very much so.
The grand jury handed down 2 sealed indictments Sheriff Phelps thinks may involve his office.
I'm making an assumption on that, knowing that this state police investigator who from what I understand is working with the Attorney General's office was present. And he's the one that's supposed to be working on the case.
Commonwealth's Attorney Wayne Farmer has recused himself from the case after vocally criticizing the sheriff for having Jonathan Burns on his staff. Burns was a member of the Sheriff's Auxiliary, described by the sheriff as a volunteer, but Burns wore a uniform, a badge, and carried a taser. In May, Farmer said it's clear to him Burns, a convicted felon, was acting as a law enforcement officer.
He's been assisting in investigations. He's been assisting in arrests. He's made some searches of vehicles.
I never saw him with a taser. It is my understanding that he had one and that was discussed between some of my administrators, and they said, no, he ain't supposed to have one, and it was taken away from him.
Sheriff Phelps says at the end of the day, this will be clear about Burns.
He was not a sworn deputy.
Burns was involved in arrest, but was never intended to be an arresting officer. Example.
It was a female deputy and a woman that was beating on the female deputy. And he helped because he was there.
Another example.
The other time was the guy was kicking the windows out of the sheriff's office vehicle, and he assisted in restraining the individual.
Phelps says Burns was a volunteer who got out of control and wasn't properly supervised.
Who let you down in this case?
Jonathan Burns let me down.
So Sheriff Phelps thinks he could be indicted and arrested. The sheriff also thinks Jonathan Burns could be indicted, along with the sheriff's son, Paul, who is a captain in the sheriff's office. But we don't know for sure because the indictments are sealed. And as we've reported before, Burns and Captain Paul Phelps, the sheriff's son, are related distantly by marriage. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.